So you have the idea, and imagine you have a platform where you can launch your idea. And the most important question about the idea is, does it validate? And validation comes from likes, follows, shares. All these things are validation tools. So um, is this not playing? Hold on. There you go. It's just playing. And there's validate. Once it validates, it passively crowdfunds. And for example, if you go to Bitclout, right? People the money is going in. They actually have a website now with ideas, and those ideas is the token, and they're raising. So they've taken this this little format that I described back in 2013, and now it's finally a reality. Decentralized Social is doing it, right? DeSocial is Diamond, or it's the other one on it. They have that. So this is what they're doing right now, and that's passive because you've done nothing except for put your idea up there, and now it has value. That's passive crowdfunding, right there. The other thing that they don't have, right, is you build what's known as a proof of concept document, right? You have a proof of concept document. It's like a napkin drawing. It's like your blueprint. Again, people like it. They engage. They follow. And because it's an open startup, anyone can join, and your team starts to follow. And understand that all of this Bitcoin is coming in, is all staying in the DAE, the Decentralized Autonomous Entity, right? And the Bitcoin never leaves. But what's happening is the idea is getting backed by this Bitcoin fund that's within it. So in a way, it becomes a backed idea. And what is transmitted to the entity is actually the native token of the DAE that then is provided to them in order for them to pay for web design, hosting, all these different things. You don't need any external investors. You don't need any of that crap. It just happens just organically, right? And then you launch a soft proto. So if you're watching me right now, I'm building a soft proto. I have no development skills. I can't code. I can't do any of that. But I have a soft proto that then I can use and say, hey guys, this is my idea. Let's use it as kind of a reference or an inspiration point. So it's taken the paper, the proof of concept, which is like the napkin drawing, and now I have something. There's no back end, and it's simply a PowerPoint. And actually, this software right here is what I wanted to build on it. And this software no longer exists. It was called SlideRocket. It was acquired by ClearSlide, and then it's never been seen again. It's the best. It was the best fucking PowerPoint software ever fucking created, and it's not being used anymore. I don't know what the fuck happened to it. They just bought it and shelved it and got rid of it, and it was called SlideRocket. It was amazing. And the idea grows. Now there's another round, right? Of what I call passive. There's actually crowdfunding round. So now you have a thing. You say, what do you do? We need to raise. And what happens is the algorithm just pushes it out there. It says, hey, we've got the soft proto. It pushes it out there, and then people could come in and buy the token of the Foundup, which is what you're seeing exactly what. DeSocial, if you go to DeSocial, look at their ideas. They got $50 million. They're doing this, but there's no DAE. That's where they fuck up. There's no DAE, and they're basically stealing people's Bitcoin for their own end. So what we're doing is we're going to fork DeSocial and fix it and keep all of that Bitcoin at the center, right, for the projects. And what that does, it creates a store of value for each and every project. So now that you have the soft proto, the developers go out there and they build actually a prototype. And a prototype is just a working version. There is no monetary, but now people can start playing with it and using it and testing it and being engaged in it. And what happens? More money comes into it as a result of that, right? It's just past the second round. And folks can come in there and become more engaged in the product. And then it continues on. The next stage, then once you have it, you actually have a minimal viable product. Now the minimal viable product is it has a way to generate income. So minimal viable product actually has a revenue stream to it. That's why it's a minimal viable product. So a proof of concept, a soft proto, minimal viable product, and once you have a successful minimal viable product, then the entity in a way rolls out on its own, right? And it creates its own DAO day, right? So its own entity. So in this case, you see it says Open Corp. This is a DAO. It becomes a DAO. And then ultimately, all that Bitcoin, you notice the Bitcoin all stays within the system, right? The Bitcoin, just more and more Bitcoin is coming into the system, but it never leaves. It's a closed loop. It's a closed loop. And I want you to imagine thousands of these projects out there in this closed loop day. And ultimately, what happens is that the day will become a smart DAO. And I want you to imagine now AI embedded in the middle, doing all of the heavy lifting, or all the the busy stuff, the accounting, all of the legal documents, all of that, setting up the collaterals, the websites, tweeting out the messages, right? And you're just sitting back there, just riding the idea. So so the idea is the thing. The idea is the most important thing. Folks coming involved, right, and building the traction. You don't have to worry about traction because AI will build the traction. AI will do all of that. I mean, all of this stuff has already been, done a 1,000 times with all the data that's been generated from YouTube and everything else. And every time the AI basically follows a Foundup through this, what I call the Foundup blockchain, the cycle, right? The Foundup cycle. The more and more accurate it's going to be. So when it sees an idea, it can have a pretty good probability guess whether it's going to be a red hot chili pepper, which means it's going to go nano, which means it's just going to go out, explosive. So here you go. Here is, and this has not changed. This diagram right here is from 2012. It's the diagram, the talk that I shared with the Ethereum founders, Michal Lisi specifically, and it is what ultimately was the inspiration of the DAO and a lot of the stuff. Everything I described in here, Peter Tal tried to say was unique. It wasn't unique. I described it to them. UnDaoDu.